Stewie Downing gave me the name, Dave, because I look like Dave from Hartlepool.
Okay, right.
And it just stuck so much that in the game, like George Friend was shouting Dave for me to pass the ball. I would go I would walk on the street and hear Dave and start turning. It was strange.
Born in Thessaloniki, he swapped the sunny beaches of Greece for the sunny beaches of Hartlepool. His career would take him from League Two all the way to the Premier League and into the national team. A legend for both the Monkey Hangers and the Mighty Borough. I'm pretty sure he'll never have to buy a beer in the Northeast again. Well, maybe in Newcastle, but welcome to the show, Dimitrios Konstantopoulos. Dimi, how are we doing this evening?
I'm good. Glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
No, our pleasure. Absolutely our pleasure. So where are you calling us from? Where are you at the moment?
I'm in Greece, in Agrinio, a town called Agrinio. The club's called Panetolikos. We're in the top flight in Greece, and I'm coaching here at the minute.
Nice. And how's it going there? I know that like the Greek Super League's definitely got a bit more competitive the last couple of years. How is it to be coaching in the Greek Super League?
It's good. It's obviously the high level, and you get great experience. That's what I need at the minute. My coaching development. I've got the manager. Obviously, he asked me to come here with the agreement that I'm going to have more freedom to get involved with the first team as well. So that's what I'm doing. We started really well. We've got 10 points from 6 games, which is great for a team, sort of smallish team. Not in a big town. We've got another game tomorrow, so things are looking good at the minute.
Nice, that's good. So, who's the team you're playing tomorrow?
We're playing Volos. It's another team at our level. They've got one more point. They've got 11 points. So it's not going to be an easy game. No games are easy when you're you're not a big team. But as I said, we're confident, so we're going to go for it.
Nice. Well, our listeners and our viewers will have to keep an eye out for, I'm going to try and say this right. I'm terrible with Greek words. I apologize. Panetolikos, is that right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, that's right. Good. We'll have to keep an eye out for your results. And hopefully this weekend you'll get 3 points against Volos. I do have to also say to the listeners and the viewers, Adam is here as well. Hello, Adam.
Hello.
But Dimi, we're going to start at the beginning of your career. And there was one question we wanted to ask, and I find it fascinating. How did you discover that you were going to be a goalkeeper? Were you always a goalkeeper in school? Did you play outfield? Like, how did that happen?
No, when you're in school, you experiment. You play basically every position. I had a knack of wanting to dive all the time, and it just sort of cemented my preference, if you want. One of my older cousins, his dad took him to a club in the academy as a goalkeeper, so I got a bit jealous, and I said to my dad, why is he and not me? So he took me to a club, juniors level, and I progressed from there. I just fell in love with the position, and that was it.
And do you think it's true when people say that there's something different about goalkeepers? It takes a different type of person.
Yeah, they say the goalkeepers have to be a little bit crazy, and it's
exactly. I wanted you to say it, not me, right?
Yeah, it is a unique position because where every player goes with their feet, we have to go with our hands and our heads, basically. You have to be brave. You have to be patient because it's a unique position on the pitch. You have to have great balance, I think, mentally, and not get disappointed, not get too excited. I think this position requires consistency more than any other position on the pitch, and I think that's the key to a successful career as a goalkeeper.
I was going to ask you actually on that one, because obviously it feels like when you're a goalkeeper, you're more scrutinized than any other position on the pitch. So certainly as your career progressed, did you feel like it got easier for you, or did it kind of maintain the same level of expectation anyway for you anyway?
I think I like the fact that our position is black and white. It's you either, have a good game or you don't have a good game, because our mistakes are obvious, our good actions are obvious. So there's not many things to look into unless you want to pick on some details. So yeah, I like that part, and makes you a bit more focused. But that's what it requires. It requires a lot of focus. I've been into games that, and I say to the goalkeepers that I coach now, that I'd rather you come in after a game out with a headache because you concentrated for 95 minutes. Because you there might be games that you got nothing to do for 88 minutes, and then from then on you have to call into action 2-3 times, and you have to be ready for it. So yeah, I had games that my head was pounding after I came off the pitch, but I kept a clean sheet. So yeah, that's the reward.
It's worth it, right? It's worth it. And did you have any techniques to help you concentrate? Because my concentration span is terrible, right? And I've heard interviews with like Neville Southall where he had like a traffic light system of like red, orange, green for how much he could relax. Did you have a system of like, or a way of keeping your concentration? Because it seems like a really long time. If you're winning 5-0 and you've not seen the ball in 10 minutes, 20 minutes, how do you concentrate?
No, my motivation was always clean sheets. I've got a good clean sheet record wherever I've played. And no matter what the score line was, in front, my goal was to keep a clean sheet, and that's what I was telling my defenders. If we were winning 4-0, I would still tell them to keep concentrated, because ultimately, like, the strikers, measure, if you want their capability in goals or their performance, we are measured in clean sheets. Obviously, it's a collective thing, as scoring goals and defending, but a goalkeeper and defender we take pride in clean sheets. So that was my motivation. I was trying to do that in every game, either playing a big opponent or a small one, because they not only make you feel good, they give you confidence in the rest of the team. And obviously, if you can manage to keep many clean sheets one after the other, it becomes like a automatic through the team that the confidence is up, and we're not going to concede a goal, and that makes it even more easier.
Nice. So we're gonna look at your career, and you started in Kalamata. Now I saw that the Brazilian legend Jorginho briefly was manager there, right? How did you first get your opportunity at Kalamata, and who was the coach that kind of gave you your first big chance?
I actually started a team called Anglo-Italian in Thessaloniki. It was a League One team back then. I only stayed there. I became professional there at the age of 17, and from the summer I stayed there until the January. Then Kalamata bought me. They were in the top division back then. And my first manager in Kalamata was a Swedish guy called Bo Pettersson. Very good character, very good coach. He was very serious. He had he was a gentleman. He made it easier for me as a teenager, basically, to adapt. So yeah, it was good. But I owe a lot to my coach before that in the Anglo-Italian, the club before, who took me from an amateur club as basically a mold, and he made me into a goalkeeper, if you want. I was a tall kid who liked to dive around, and he would take me pick me up from my house 2 hours before every training. Would do some individual stuff, and then train with the team, and that really helped me. And it gave me the basics and technique-wise stuff that I carried on throughout my career.
Nice. And you went on to make 7 appearances for Kalamata. How did it feel like to actually become a professional goalkeeper? Did it feel like, was there a moment when you realized like, okay, I can make this a career? Like, was that the moment?
Yeah, I had this thing, I don't know, I don't know how you call it, lack of sense of danger or something, or
Okay, right.
since I was a kid, that I was thinking that's what I like to do. That's what I'll be doing for the rest of my life. Obviously, looking back now, it's not that easy because there was hundreds of kids that playing with me growing up that they wanted to do the same and they didn't. But I don't know, maybe that ignorance that I had that this is going to be my job when I grow up. Maybe it helped me a little bit. Obviously, you have to be a bit lucky sometimes. You have to be good. I got involved with the national teams, under 15s and under 17s, and obviously your name circulates a bit more when you start with the national teams. So it was a special moment. But it was for me. It was the normal thing to happen. For some reason.
If I understand, go on, Rory.
No. So you always, in the back of your mind, you always expected it to happen. You had the confidence to be like, I can definitely do this.
Yes, which was looking back, it was silly.
Okay, right.
But I did have that, yeah.
And I was going to say, if I believe it right, your inspiration was Peter Schmeichel. So I was going to say, how much of that Schmeichel, kind of what you saw in that early days, did you bring into your footballing side as well?
I was a massive fan of Peter Schmeichel. That's why I wanted to go to play in England. My dad was a fan of Man United since George Best, and I became a fan of Man United because I was watching Peter Schmeichel. And I was watching games. I was studying his moves. Obviously, later on, I realized that you cannot be Peter Schmeichel or you cannot be any other goalkeeper because you're a different body, So you have to work on your own strengths. But taking little bits and pieces that could help you technically or positionally, or even like commanding the defense or positioning wise, or all aspects, taking little things or watching little clips or watching games. I think that helps. But it's for the young goalkeepers. I would say don't try to be someone else. Just try to be the best version of yourself. It's simpler.
So you talked about strengths there. What do you think the strengths of your, like, if you had to say, like, my strengths as a goalkeeper were, what do you think your personal strengths were?
I think I had a real calm presence. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah. I had a real calm presence, and I wasn't looking stressed during the game. One of my teammates, I think, at some point before a game, he said to me, "Are you going to get stressed, please?" I said, and I think my positioning was quite good. I had a good awareness where I was around the goal, and that I always said a good position. It's half the save. I never used to be the very spectacular goalkeeper. Legs flying around up in the air and stuff. I always wanted to be effective any way I could. So I think those two were my strengths. Being calm, and that transmits to the rest of the team, I think. And position wise.
So, Dimi, we're going to talk a bit more about how the move to Hartlepool took place. And I believe from what I've seen on a previous interview, you kind of made out that this could be like almost a blockbuster movie in itself. In particular, I'm just curious how your kind of agent managed to persuade you to take up this role. But I'm also fascinated purely because I'm a Wycombe Wanderers fan. So I remember that Hartlepool team quite well as well. And you managed to go to Adams Park one year and get promotion through a certain result that you appeared in. But I'm also very curious about Neil Cooper and that team as well, because it felt like it was quite a progressive team, like a lot of individuals in that team that went on to play at championship level as well. But let's go back and talk about that move. So you kind of referred to it as a blockbuster. So how did that move take place?
Oh, it was a blockbuster. It was such a bizarre story. I wasn't in Spain. I was trialing for this second division club near Malaga. Brilliant weather. The club was quite good. It was called Jerez. We were in a 5-star hotel, brand new stadium. So after about a week, they offered me a deal, which I was going to sign the next day. On the night, an agent called me and said, there's this club in England. It's called Hartlepool. They want to take a look at you. I said, you had me at England. I didn't even listen to the rest. So I booked an early ticket from a train ticket to go from Jerez to Malaga, a flight to go to the Teesside airport. I left the hotel about 5 a.m. The people from Jerez, they were looking for me to pick me up from training the next morning, and I was gone. I was flying to Teesside, and I landed in the Teesside airport. They picked me up, and they put me in a B&B breakfast, B&B hotel in Seaton Carew. So it was a bit of a shock coming from a sunny
30
Malaga,
plus degrees, yeah.
To Seaton Carew, from a 5-star hotel to a bed and breakfast. But I was in England and I was happy about it, and I was focused to obviously show what I can do. And it was if you look back, it was such a stupid decision to make, because I had a contract ready for me somewhere which was nice. I just left it there to go to trial again to another club who you weren't guaranteed anything. But I believed in myself, so yeah, it turned out quite all right.
Well, you were there for a while. You're a player, like when I think of that Hartlepool team, I always remember like Jeff Stelling, of course, is like the big Hartlepool thing. But I remember him talking about you quite a lot on Soccer Saturday, and you seem like a bit of a cult hero. Like, what were your first impressions of Hartlepool? You can be honest. And how do you feel about that club and that place now? Because it seems like such a huge part of your career, right?
I had a soft spot for England, because when I was younger with the national team, we went to Scotland and we had a mini tournament there, and I really enjoyed it. The pitches, the weather. Even though I'm from Greece, I never liked too hot weather, especially training and playing. So I preferred playing in the rain or playing when it's a bit cold. So yeah, from that aspect, it was fine. I was just a bit unsure, because I started realizing what I've done. I just completely blew a contract with a decent club, and I was there just trialing again. But I enjoyed it because they made me feel good from the first day. The lads helped massively, because we had a very good team, very good bunch of players. The togetherness was very good. The banter was really good. So yeah, I felt really comfortable straight away. And then after a couple of months or 2-3 months, I signed my first proper contract, and the rest is history, as I say.
Well, as Adam said, that was the team with George Boyd up front, right? Was that when George Boyd was up front?
Adam Boyd.
Sorry, there's two of them, right? Adam Boyd. Yeah, so that team, like, I think Adam wanted to ask about it as well, but that seemed like a really good, promising, like, exciting Hartlepool team to be part of.
Yeah, it was a great team. Neil Cooper was the manager, and he nicknamed me Chewbacca, straight away because I had a lot of hair, and yeah, which I didn't enjoy much. And then before I knew it, the whole crowd were calling me Chewbacca. And but he was a very talented character. He was he was a good coach, but he was a manager. He could manage the players as in personality-wise, and their egos and the different personalities. So yeah, the first time I spoke to him, it's me coming from thinking I can speak English, and he starts speaking Scottish, heavy Scottish to me, and I can't understand anything. I'm just picking words from here and there and just nodding. And then I went back to the hotel thinking, I've got my English is bad. I have a problem with English. But it wasn't me. No one could understand him properly.
No, that's very true. I think even for many Englishmen, they don't understand many Scotsmen, to be fair. But even during your time, you obviously past Neil Cooper, you also had, if I believe right, Danny Wilson as well in charge for a period of time. You had Martin Smith as well as Paul Stevenson, who's a bit of a club legend as well during that time. So you kind of experienced different managers during your time at Hartlepool. Was there any kind of particular manager that stood out apart from Neil Cooper that you would kind of reflect on as well?
Definitely Danny Wilson. He was a great motivator. He knew how to react after every game to keep the team ticking over. Under him we had a spell of 23 games unbeaten, 18 wins and 5 draws. So yeah, he was a great motivator, a great manager, a great man manager, and I learned a lot from him. I learned, obviously, that I can use now in the coaching. That I learned that every player has a different personality, and you have to try to get 100% out of them. So you have to use different tools, different approach to everyone. You have to know your players, and that's ultimately the job of the manager. To get 100% out of the team. And the way to do that is learning what makes each player push themselves and apply that, and that's what he did, and he was very successful with it.
Well, and he was the manager, of course, in the 06-07 season when Hartlepool, you would gain promotion from League Two in second place. And I've seen that in that season, in 46 games, you only conceded 23 goals. You kept 22 clean sheets across that season. Like, how incredible was it to be part of that season? Like, and finishing on 88 points. That is incredible, really.
That was good, and considering that we didn't have the best of starts. We were sort of struggling the first 10, 12 games, I think. And then obviously we kept on with it. We had that run. And we, as I said, it became a point that we sort of believed that we're not going to concede. No matter what, we're going to keep the clean sheet. And that really helps massively because football in any sport really is, I think it's, 60% mentality and 40% the rest. You can be the best athlete in the world if you're mentally weak or you have losing mentality. You're not gonna perform.
So thinking about now moving away from Hartlepool, before you got that move to Coventry, was there a load of clubs after you? Because I seem to remember at the time you were kind of highly thought of by a number of clubs at the time, but I don't know if it kind of transpired to you or your agent at the time that there was clubs looking at you.
Yeah, there was a lot of interest. There was a lot of Premiership clubs, and there was Celtic. They were interested. Wow. They came to see me, but the thing is, and the chairman back then, Ken Hodcroft, said it at some interview later on when I left that we could have made a lot of money from Dimi, but we didn't need to because we were, financially secured and we didn't want to sell our best players, and that's what happened. It was clubs were ringing and Hartlepool was saying not for sale, so they weren't really, even getting into negotiations, which is a bit seen back then, at least I think I should have known, to have my say. But that was their policy, and it was a successful policy while they were, they owned the club. And then obviously when my contract finished, I decided it was time for me to move if I wanted to try in a higher level.
To go to Coventry, it was quite like a historically successful team. Did it feel like a big move? Were you excited to get to make that step up?
Yeah, I was ready. There was about 5 or 6 championship clubs that were interested. Coventry, I spoke to them, and they sort of sold it to me, and that's why I decided to go to Coventry. We had a good team. Ian Dowie was the manager. We started right, then things started getting a bit. We hit a bad patch. Then I got injured. I ruptured my Achilles, and sort of, all went pear-shaped from there.
And when you I don't want to dwell on it too much if you don't want to, but when you get a big injury like that, how do you deal with the time away from the pitch? Because obviously a ruptured Achilles is like a big deal. How did you deal with your time away? It's
difficult, It's difficult for any sports person. I'll tell you that you don't want to be on the sidelines. You don't want to be out of action. But it's a process that you need to follow, and you need to to be optimistic. And to look forward to when you're going to be ready again without pushing anything, or without trying to get there earlier, risking to get injured again. So yeah, I had a good recovery. I followed the procedure. I listened to the doctors and everything, and I worked hard. And then when I get back, I wanted to be ready to play instead of taking another, so many weeks or months to get back into up to speed. And then as soon as I was okay, the Swansea loan came, the Swansea offer. It was perfect for me because I could go and and maybe get some playing time.
Well, this is actually, you've taken us to the next thing we wanted to talk about. As I was kind of doing my research, I was like, Swansea City and Cardiff, okay, in the same season. That's that's a heated rivalry.
Yeah. I must be a record man on that.
How did that happen? And how was there reaction from fans? I know that is the derby that people don't appreciate how heated that is.
There's another blockbuster. I swear to God, if I write my autobiography, it's going to be a bestseller. It's been so strange situations. Swansea, their goalkeeper was injured, and they asked me to go on loan. So I went on loan. I played a few games. I really enjoyed it because it was fantastic. Roberto Martinez was the manager. Great staff, great players. Togetherness was brilliant. And I really enjoyed my time. So in January, my loan was finishing. So we decided to extend it until the end of the season, and then get a permanent move to Swansea. Okay. I spoke with the manager. He said, "We want you here," and everything. So it's a deadline day, and we're about to sign the contract. So I was in Birmingham, I remember, which is about half an hour drive from Coventry. And about 4 hours before the end of the deadline, I set off to go to sign the contract with Swansea, but we're snowed in, and the roads were snowed in, so you couldn't move anywhere. It was unbelievable, and I managed to get to the stadium with 5 minutes delay. So I signed it, and for 5 minutes they rejected it. They rejected the move, which was it was disappointing. And then a week after, Cardiff came,
Right, right. And I'm just on a bit of a tangent with the deadline day. Like when you're a player on deadline day, is it because we hear a lot of like managers talk about how like nervous and like frantic and etc. it is. If you're a player, how is deadline day? Are you expecting like, do you know if offers are going to come in, or do you genuinely get surprises where you're like, oh wait, I have to leave now? Like how is it from a player's point of view?
No, usually you know through your agent. You have to be prepared if something is on the works, unless it's last minute or negotiations keep going. Then you have to be on standby. But generally, you're told, and they try to do it with plenty of time. But that was what happened to me. Was it should be with plenty of time to spare, but due to the weather, we end up losing it, which was was disappointing.
And is there a reason they rejected it if it was 5 minutes before the deadline? I don't understand. Like they just said it was too late. Like
they said it was too late.
Right.
It was 5 minutes too late, and it was sometimes they make an exception. They didn't at this time, and it was really, really frustrating.
I was a student at Coventry University at the time. You were actually playing for Coventry, which was just by coincidence. But one of the things I wanted to ask you was, there's a lot of talk about the financial issues at Coventry, especially they moved into the big Rico Arena, as it was called at the time. And I wanted to ask, from your opinion, obviously it was leaked to the press on many occasions in Coventry about the financial issues, but how much of that did the actual players get wind of it, and how much did that affect the performance as well? Because obviously it was back and forth between kind of the owners as well as the owners of the ground, because it wasn't owned by Coventry City at the time as well, and they had these huge debts at the time as well. Ian Dowie had kind of like got this really good squad together, because it wasn't just yourself, the likes of Liam McKenzie, for example, that was doing quite well at that period of his career as well. So I just wanted to kind of get a feel for that period as well. Was there kind of that kind of feeling with the squad, or was that kind of kept separate to you guys?
While I was there, we knew there were some issues, but it was never obvious. It was never got to the point that there are issues with the ground, or everything was good. We knew the club wasn't doing all right financially. We didn't have, it didn't have an impact on the players, but obviously it accumulated more and more and more. In the end, it turned out to be really bad. The club having to move from Rico Arena and having to play in other grounds for many years until they stabilized now. So while I was there, we knew it. We just didn't see it in our everyday routine.
And does it feel like something you obviously can't get involved in it? You just have to get on with your job, right? It's just something you have to try and ignore. Yeah,
100%. Our job was to perform with the training and in games. People in the boardroom, their jobs are to make sure everything is run smoothly behind the scenes. So you can't really get involved with other people's jobs. You just hope they do theirs well, so we can be able to do ours well too.
And then, as you said, so then you go back to Greece and you get a move to where you play for AEK Athens. And that is one of the teams that I don't really know much about Greek football. I'm going to kind of claim ignorance a little bit here, but they are the team alongside Olympiakos and Panathinaikos that most people know, right? How did it feel to play for one of the biggest teams in your home country? Was that that must have been a hugely proud moment, right?
Yeah, it was great. My first year was actually to a club that just got promoted to the Super League, called Kerkira FC. And I did really well. I got voted goalkeeper of the season, and that's why I had offers from AEK Athens, Olympiakos, Panathinaikos. They were sort of sniffing around. I chose AEK Athens, and the first year was fantastic. We had great players. Eddie Johnson, Barcelona and Chelsea. Wow. We had Greek internationals. We had a great team, and we ended up playing Europa League group stages. It was really enjoyable. But the second season, the club just collapsed financially, and we ended up playing with just kids. All the players left, and it wasn't enjoyable. But the pressure of playing for a club like that, it's big. All the the spotlights are on you. You know, any mistake or any bad performance, you have every newspaper in the country talking about it. And but it's, you know, it's a challenge, and I enjoy the challenge. And yeah, it was great learning curve and experience as well.
Was that the club where you feel like the pressure was on the most, like you felt most under scrutiny?
You could say. I think the pressure comes from yourself.
Okay.
I always been the biggest critic of my performances, you know, and you know, if I didn't perform well, I wasn't expecting to read it somewhere or hear it from someone else. I knew it straight away, and I was trying to find out how I can, you know, I can change that. Yeah, but yeah, you know, you get a lot of attention when you're in a club like this. You get a lot of everything you say could be sort of mistranslated or, you know, misinterpreted, depending on who's trying to interpret it. So you have to be careful, but that's part of the package.
Mm. And then, unfortunately, that AEK Athens season ended in very badly, and there was a points deduction due to a pitch invasion. Like, how did it feel for something that was kind of out of your control, or massively out of your control, to have such a big impact on your season? Like, that must be, frustrating doesn't even start to cover it, I think.
It was a mess from the start of the season. We were doomed. You know, it was a big club with, how can I say it? Very players that couldn't handle because they were young, because they were inexperienced. They couldn't perform under that pressure, and we didn't perform because we didn't have a good team. And obviously the fans were angry, so you could see where it was heading. The season where it was going to end up. And unfortunately, that's where it ended up, which was disappointing for us as players and for the fans. But as I always said, I take everything as a lesson, and that was a lesson for me. Sort of made me stronger as a character, as a personality, I think, which I used later on, you know, playing for Middlesbrough.
I was just going to say, was AEK Athens that experience also led by the financial aspect? Because Rivaldo had signed like back in 2008. That was quite a big signing for Greek football at the time. And it seemed to like just accumulate over time to the point that, yeah, by that season, it kind of came to effect. A bit like Leeds in the UK when they had that bankrolling spree and then suddenly they had to sell these assets, essentially. Was that the kind of same aspect with AEK Athens?
Yeah, the club had a lot of debts, and it couldn't cover the debts because they were left from previous owners. So yeah, it was inevitable. You know, there was either going to be a takeover was from someone who's going to take care of all this debt, but no one was willing. I think there was some sort of, you could say, a bit of a plan to do that because in Greece, if you did go bust, you go down to, back then you used to go down to third division, and all your debts are erased. So I think they saw it as a solution to the problem, and maybe take a couple of years to get back to the Super League.
But before we move on to your time at Middlesbrough, I think we should talk about the positives at AEK Athens as well. You did get to play in the Europa League group stages. How did it feel to play in European football? Did that feel like the kind of highest level you got to? Did that feel like a kind of real achievement?
No, it was brilliant. It was a different experience. It was, you know, playing with different teams from different countries. It's you know, it sort of broadens your perception about football. You have to, you don't really know what to expect, and it makes it really competitive. Where we had a good run. We had a good team back then. Yeah, obviously we had some injuries while we were in the stages, but I really enjoyed it, and yeah, it's a great experience. It's similar to playing in the Champions League, but obviously, you know, a level down, if you want.
And you got to play some pretty big teams, right? You got to play away at some big stadiums. Like this was the group with, was it Anderlecht, Lokomotiv Moscow? Like there's some big teams, right? Playing away in Belgium, playing away in Russia. How did it feel to play in Moscow? Like I imagine it's pretty intimidating, right?
Oh, it was cold. Jesus Christ.
Well, and that,
But it was good. It was good. It was great experience. It was before that in the group stage we had to play Georgia against the Dynamo Tbilisi, home and away, so we can get into the group stages. That was intimidating a bit because the full ground was packed. We beat them at home 1-0, so they had to beat us. We ended up getting a draw 1-1, and we went through. But it was it was good. It was good. It sort of toughens you up a little bit.
Nice. And then from here, you get your move to Middlesbrough. And this is right now, I have friends who support Middlesbrough, and I'm going to have some questions kind of coming up to you from them. But this was a team on the up, right? Managed by Aitor Karanka, and you were a huge part of that team that did end up winning promotion. How was it to be coached by kind of Karanka's he had a very, very good career at Real Madrid, right? How did it feel to be coached by him, and how was it to be back in the northeast of England, but with Middlesbrough?
I was in the northeast on holiday, really, because my wife's from Hartlepool. And, I just finished from AK Athens, and I was just staying there for a bit. And the call came from Middlesbrough. Stephen Pearce, the goalkeeping coach, knew me, and they had an injury, and Tony Mowbray was the manager then. And they got me in on a short-term contract. And then after about 2 months, Tony left, and I took him, and that was sort of where things changed for me. I think, obviously, Tony, is a fantastic manager, fantastic man, but he had his goalkeepers already, and it was harder for me to break in. When I took him, it was like a clean slate for everyone, and he was a foreign manager who didn't really know so much about English players and names. So he said it from the first day. He said, "I don't care about contracts. I don't care about names. I'll just see what I see in training, and I'll just pick the players that I think that they can do the job for me." And he gave me my opportunity. Eventually, I finished the season playing quite well. So the first season he came, everyone was looking at him with awe. The stories he was saying about Real Madrid, about Mourinho. It was like we had training, and then we had a sort of a sit around the fire with the kids, telling us stories. He got the respect of the players straight away. And that's why we started climbing season after season until we got promoted.
And in that promotion season, you went a run. Now, I think this is right, of 13 clean sheets in a row, is it?
It was 10.
10 clean sheets in a row, which is just incredible. Like, how does it... You've said before that, like, the clean sheet thing is a confidence. Like, you go onto the pitch and you're convinced, like, it's going to be a clean sheet. By, like, game 9, are you starting to think, right, there's a record here? Are you feeling the pressure? Or are you still like, no, clean sheet all day, no problem?
No, the more you keep, you start thinking, you start listening from everyone. Oh, the record's about to be broken. Oh, it's going to break. And you start thinking, oh, just don't say it. You're going to jinx it. And that was it, really. We equaled the record, and the last minute of the game against Bristol City, we conceded from the last kick of the game.
Oh no!
I can't even tell you how angry I was. Not because we lost the game, but because we lost the record.
Well, that's an incredible run to be on. And one of the first questions, so when I asked my mates who support Borough, you can ask Dimi a question, what would it be? They said, how did it feel? Like, they remember the moment against Brighton when you caught the ball and they knew for certain that they were promoted. Like, you caught the ball in the area, held it down, and Middlesbrough knew they were back in the Premier League. How did it feel to be part of that moment and to get this huge club back into the Premier League?
Oh, it was such a relief. it was a relief and I don't know how to say ecstasy. You know, it's still blaring. I see it from videos to see bits that I can't remember. But no, it was fantastic. It was when I saw the ball in the air, I thought, here we go, you know. And I just caught it. I didn't know the time because the clock stops at 90 minutes, so you don't really know what minute of the injury time you are. But I got a bit of a sort of sense that it was nearly there because the whole ground celebrated like we scored a goal.
Yeah.
The lads were patting me at the back. I saw about 6 of our lads with their hands up in the air. So I thought, we can't be too far.
We might be there. We might be there.
Yeah. And then I got up and I was eyeballing Mike Dean to see if he's going to blow the whistle. And then obviously as soon as he did, it was just mental. The whole place erupted.
Because it's a town that really is like all about Middlesbrough, right? Did you feel that like the support there is really strong for that team?
Yeah, it's the whole town sort of thirsty for football, thirsty for the club to do well, and they support the club home and away. We had some trips, we had some away games that you would think that you thought you were playing at home with the noise from the Borough fans. They really took me in from the beginning, and we have a special bond with the Borough fans. But it's a town. It's a hard working town, and who the fans appreciate every player that tries for the club. So yeah, I think that was one of the reasons that they accepted me straight away.
And if that was their highlight of your time at Middlesbrough, what was your highlight of your time at Middlesbrough? What game or what moment stands out for you as like, your best time there?
Oh, you can't beat that game.
Yeah,
that's the game from the sort of week leading up to it, which the pressure was immense. You could hear in every website, or you could see in the news that it's a 250 million game. Yeah, and you're thinking in the back of your head, please don't mess up here. And all the way to the last whistle, the atmosphere was unbelievable. You know, if anything, you wanted to make it for the fans, you know, because they made that day unbelievable. And of course, the full week after that carried on was brilliant.
Yeah, nice. So you get to the Premier League, Middlesbrough get to the Premier League, and I think I'm going to try and ask this sensitively, but like when Karanka took the team to the Premier League, he decided to make a lot of changes with the squad, and I feel like ultimately that's kind of what people thought maybe didn't set Middlesbrough up so well for the next season. Do you think Karanka could have had more faith in his team, and like, especially as he brought in Brad Guzan and Victor Valdez, right? How does it feel to have such a great season and then you see that the managers actually might be panicking and just bringing in lots of new players?
Yeah, as I said, they could have followed a better strategy, a better plan from successful teams getting promoted to the Premier League before. And like Bournemouth, like Burnley, they added slowly to their core of the players. I remember Bournemouth started from League Two and carried on with the same players that played in League Two. Many of them were still in the Premier League. So it showed that when a team gets promoted, a player can make that promotion as well in quality. You know, playing with better players, playing against better players, you know, the player becomes better. So, I thought that would be a better choice. But listen, it was a decision that was made by the club, by the manager, and it was a shame that it didn't end up well because our season wasn't successful, and it was a shame that we a lot of the players that we obviously helped the team to get promoted didn't get a chance in the Premier League, but that's the nature of the game.
And is that something that you've taken into your kind of potential coaching, your coaching and potential management career now? Is that a lesson that you'll take with you, that you can like trust players a little bit more, like managers improve as they go up levels and so do players?
Yeah, you have to believe in your players. You know, when when the players are doing well for you, when the group of players help the club to get promoted, the least they deserve is to get that chance to show what they can do in the division above. Yes, you're gonna want to add, a bit more quality and a few more players, but the ones who help you get there, they need not to guarantee them that they're going to play, but they need the chance to show if they can actually make it to the division above. And I think in most cases they will react to it. They will adapt, and they will help as well. And then slowly you can build again and go for the next one. I think that's that's the more sensible approach than bringing another 15, 20 players in one transfer window. And we'll see the example of this example again with Nottingham Forest this season.
Yeah, it's insanity, right? It's insanity.
22 players and they're expecting, to perform. It's even if they are top players, it's going to take them a while to gel together. So it's not that easy.
But and before we kind of wrap up the interview, I wanted to also talk to you about, you did get to represent your country as well in a Euro 2012 qualifier game against Malta. How did that feel to pull on the national jersey and be officially the country's number one? How did that feel?
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah. It's the highest honor, I think, for every player to play for your country, to play in front of your countrymen in an official game. It was really great experience. I had obviously some other friendly games and stuff that I was involved, but I really enjoyed it. I thought I could still help the national team when I was playing for Middlesbrough because I was in a good condition. But everyone that asked me then, it was the same answer, that all I can do is perform for my team, and hopefully the manager of the national team picks me. But you can't really affect that if you start thinking about it too much. You're just taking the focus of the games for your team.
And you were managed by Fernando Santos, right? Who would go on to win the Euros with Portugal. Did he seem like a kind of visionary? How was it to be coached by Santos? I think now it feels like he's kind of not changed in a while. How was it to work under him?
He was a clever man. He didn't smile much.
No.
He was very clever. He was a perfectionist. He demanded things to be done the way he wants to, and I think that sort of was rubbing into the players. We demanded to the best from each other. He had a weird I don't know, dislike for butter for some reason. I remember we were playing in Austria, and with breakfast I asked for butter, and then he got up, he took the butter and he gave it back to the waiter and he told him to go. I was a bit shell-shocked. I was like, what did I do?
Please,
you didn't like
it back, please.
God.
Okay, nice. Well, Dimi, we're going to kind of finish up with a few questions that we kind of ask all our guests. And so the first one is, who is the best player that you played with?
I played with a lot of good players. I'd say Eddie Johnson. You could see his quality from playing for Barcelona and Chelsea. Alvaro Negredo.
Oh, wow, nice. Borough. Yeah.
Right. Adama Traore.
Yeah.
Really good player. Yeah, many others, I was lucky to have good teammates in my career.
Were you still throwing yourself into dives when Adama Traore is running at you full pelt? Because I don't know if I would.
Oh, I was having a bit of a banter with him every day. I was telling him, I was nudging him with the shoulder. I was telling him, I can beat you, man. I kept telling him, you're in the wrong sport, pal. I said, you should be
yeah, well, definitely. Yeah. Nice. So the next one is, who is the best player that you played against?
Against again, there's many good players I played against. Played against Sol Campbell and Peter Crouch.
Nice.
They were at Portsmouth when I was at Swansea.
Mm-hmm.
We played in the cup against them. Portsmouth back then were on fire. The four, Crouch, Sol Campbell, David James, and we managed to beat them as well.
Nice.
I had a great game. Yeah, some of the names that I played against, but yeah, there are many. But you know, I could sit here and just keep saying names.
Nice. Okay, next one is the best atmosphere you played in, or the best stadium you played in.
Atmosphere-wise, definitely the game against Brighton. You know, because it was a home game, and it was, you know, the whole ground was bouncing literally with excitement. Also, I enjoyed the Wembley game against Norwich. The atmosphere was quite good. You know, we had about 40,000 Borough supporters, 40,000 Norwich supporters. So the atmosphere was quite good. Obviously, the game wasn't as good as we hoped, but I really enjoyed the occasion.
Nice. Okay, and the best manager you played under, or the manager that had the biggest impact on your career? Let's not say best. Maybe people will get upset.
Again, I can't pinpoint one because I took little things from everyone. You know, you can't. The perfect manager doesn't exist. If you look at it from point of who helped me the most, obviously, Aito Karanka gave me a chance to get back into championship football, and he trusted me. But you know, every manager is pros and cons, and I think while you play, if you try to study it and take some of it and analyze it according to how you like to coach, I think that helps, and that's what I did, and obviously that helped me a lot. I was lucky to have good managers in my career.
Nice. Okay, it's just two more. So, the best save of your career, or a save that kind of stands out for you the most?
I would say against Leeds, away, from a header. We drew 0-0, and I just, you know, it was a header from a free kick just outside the 6-yard box, and like all the Leeds players, they had the hands up in the air. The guy who headed it was running to the stand to celebrate, and I clawed it out and around the post. And I still to this day I can't remember how I did it.
I was going to say, I was just about to ask, is that like sheer reflex and you're like, whoa, wait, did I just do that? Or is it like a conscious decision? Like, how does that feel to do that?
Sometimes you go for the ball, not really expecting much, but you know, you get a fingertip and that makes it a fantastic save. That's why I keep saying the goalkeepers just don't let go of any shot. You know, try to get there. You might think you're not gonna, but sometimes you're gonna get a fingertip on. It's gonna be a brilliant save.
Nice. And the last question: what's the funniest thing, or a thing that sticks in your mind that you've heard a football fan shout at you or at someone else in a stadium?
The funniest thing? Oh, I don't know. There was a lot of banter, you know, when I was playing.
Because you're a goalkeeper, you must hear it all, right? You've got 90 minutes of the fans behind you, like. Oh
yeah, the smaller the ground, or the lower the division, the more you can hear. Obviously, as you go higher, there's a lot of noise. But I had a lot of, you know, when I started playing, and my first season, at the back of my shirt wasn't Dimi, it was my last name, it was Konstantopoulos, and it used to start from here and end on the other end. Oh, I could hear some jokes behind the goal. You know, people trying to pronounce it, choking. You know.
Nice.
Some people thought I was Chinese.
Perfect. Well, Dimmy, thank you. It's been a great chat. I've really, really enjoyed it. Adam, anything to say before we wrap it up?
Just to say, I never thought I'd ever interview Chewbacca. That's a childhood dream, right? I've lived it. So, but Dimmy, absolute pleasure. I've been fascinated by your career. So thank you for bringing that up.
That stuck with me so long that I had to learn to do the impression as well.
Oh, let's go.
Oh, go on.
Oh, that's pretty good. I like that. That's good. Brilliant.
And when I was in Middlesbrough, they used to call me Dave.
Okay, right.
It was bizarre. Stewie Downing gave me that name, Dave, because I look like Dave from Hartlepool.
Okay, right.
And it just stuck so much that in the game, like George Friend was shouting Dave for me to pass the ball. I would go I would walk on the street and hear Dave and start turning. It was strange. And there was an incident with a doctor as well in Middlesbrough. A cardiologist was doing our tests and he had no idea from football. So George Friend was before me, and I go in and he goes to me, "All right, Dave." So I go sit down and the doctor starts saying to me, "Can you take a deep breath, Dave? Can you turn around, Dave?" And he said it so many times, but by that time it was too late to correct him. So I just
it's too awkward, right? It's too awkward. Yeah, brilliant. Well, thank you, Dimmy. I have really, really enjoyed that. So yeah, best of luck with your coaching and managing career. We will definitely be keeping an eye out on the Greek Super League now, and we'll be keeping an eye on your results. So thank you very much, Dimmy.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much, boys.